Hey, Rob here, and I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about the Smart Trade screen here that Bitsgap has updated and added to their platform. So let's take a look at that. So right now I'm on Binance and I'm on a BNB USDT trade here. And to get to that, I've just jumped up here to Binance. I've clicked on USDT. Come down here, click on BNB. And of course, this is Binance's token here. So we're going to go over here and go to Smart Trade. And I'm going to turn this stop loss off here, and we're just going to talk about what we're seeing on the screen here. So there's different scenarios that you would use each section of this by adding a section or taking off a section. It just kind of depends on what you want to do on the trade. If you're just going to make a simple market trade, okay, you probably wouldn't just use the screen without take profit or stop loss. I mean, if you're just going to do a market trade, then you would simply just want to come down here, put your market order in right here, put in your price, your amount, and just make your buy, okay? Smart Trade would be a little bit easier to use here if you were simply just going to do a limit order, meaning that you think that BNB is going to go down in price. You want to make a buy. Let's just say that I'm out here wanting to buy 20 BNB, and I know that the best price right now is 16.72. So let's say that I'm thinking that it's going to drop quite a bit. I'm going to just put it in for 15. And that, based on what I have on my balance of 822, it's going to be 300 bucks. Now, you'll see down here that you've got a profit of 15, and the reason that you see that is because when you click on take profit, it's already calculating a 5% take profit if you decide to use take profit. But we're just going to leave that off for now. We're just simply going to say, in this scenario, we're simply putting in a limit order for lower than the best price of the market right now because we think BNB is going to go down. We're doing 20, shows us how much, and then we can click buy. Okay, so that's one use of this screen. So let's talk about what the next use would be. Okay, so now let's say that you simply want to do a market order and you want to just get your buy-in right away, all right? So I'm just going to click right here, and that's going to put in that price right at market price. And you can kind of see, let me open up this little sketcher here so that I can point some things out to you here. So you can kind of see that the best market price right there comes in. So when I pull up this screen right here, everything kind of fades out in the background, but you can kind of still see it, right? So you can see the sell orders up here and you can see the buy orders up here, but this kind of gives you, so right between there is the best price between the sell and the buy, okay? So that's where you're getting this right here, all right? So let me clear that real quick, and let's go back to talking about what we're looking at here. So again, if we go back and we just want to buy 20, and then we're kind of thinking on this order, you know what, I don't want to hold on to BNB. I'd like to sell it once it reaches a certain percentage of profit. So if I want, say, 5% profit, then it's already going to calculate that for me. If I only want to just grab a quick 2%, it's going to calculate that. If I want to do 10%, it's going to calculate that. So it's going to show you your profit right there, okay? So there's another use case. You're simply wanting to buy a market price, selling at a percentage. You're going to hit buy BNB, you're going to put that order in, and you're just going to let it ride. And you can go on to the next thing. The other way to do it would be obviously to think if you're going to think that the market's going to drop and you think it's a good time to buy this at a lower price. So we can put that in for a much lower price. We can come over here and you're thinking, hey, I can make 15% on this thing. So you can just drop that right in there. Let me put a 1 in here so that it kind of pulls this up. Yeah, that way. So we've got actual numbers behind the point there. Anyway, my point is that you can see that it calculates your profit instantly here. So the next thing that you can also add in here, if you're going to be looking at a buy and then a take profit, is you can set your stop loss. And so on a buy, your stop loss is going to keep you from losing money if you're wrong about your purchase, and after you've made your purchase, things start heading down. Well, if you've purchased at 1501, and you really need to just change these percentages here to see that number work correctly, because your stop loss obviously should always be below your purchase here, okay? So what you're looking there is for it to stop you from losing too much money if all of a sudden the price of your B&B just starts to tank, okay? You wouldn't want to just place this order and think that it's going to go up and all of a sudden wake up 3 days later and you haven't checked it and all of a sudden the price is just completely tanked and you've lost a lot of money. Let's say it tanks all the way down to $12, where your stop loss is going to keep you from losing that. It's basically going to sell that off and at least give you $14.55 USDT back, all right, so that you're not at a complete loss. In this case, that's a 3% loss. Okay, so that's pretty much how to use that. You can also use a trailing stop, which what that does is that kind of follows you up as the price goes up, so it kind of protects you. So it'll raise that stop loss up a little bit each time as the price in B&B starts to climb. Okay, and then at the end here we're going to talk a little bit about what ask and bid means, but right now I just want you guys just to grasp how you're using a buy. Okay, so you're basically looking at as a limit order or a market. You're putting in the price that you want to pay, whether that's going to be limit or market. You're putting in the amount down here of what you want to buy. This shows what is going to cost you to buy whatever it is you have in here. This is your projected profit if you set a take profit price here. And then you can also come down here and add a stop loss and a trailing stop. Okay. Also, I guess I should mention that you can also split this too. So you can also come back over here and you can do a split on your take profit. So you can also do, 5% here and 50%, and you can do 10% here on the other 50%, or you can change this to 30%, which automatically changes this to 70. So it's pretty nice. I mean, you can set up some pretty good scenarios for how it fits your idea of how you're going to make a buy, and then instantly just set your take profit and stop loss, so you can kind of just let that thing fly and not have to worry about it checking it every hour. You know that your investment's going to be protected there if you make a buy. All right, sounds good. Now we're going to move on to a sell smart trade. Okay, we're back in the trade screen here, and we're going to go ahead and set up a smart trade for a sell. And let me just uncheck stop loss here, and we're going to kind of talk about this the way we did a buy, but we have to kind of change our thinking here, and we have to really understand what we're seeing on the screen so that we understand how to use this correctly. All right, so if you're, again, just going, let's say right now we own 20 B&B, okay? And if we're just going to simply do, again, a market order, and we're just going to sell off 20 B&B, it's probably not a real good use case for using this. We can just simply hit a market order, put the amount we want to sell here, and just go ahead and sell it, okay? Your smart trade is going to come in when you're wanting to put a limit price in there, meaning that you're going to sell it for what it is you want to sell it for. So again, we can see the market price that is happening right now kind of in the background here, and we've got sell and buy orders being put in. So let's say in our scenario here, we know that we have 20 B&B. And in our scenario here, we've decided that we pretty much know that we bought that B&B for even below market. Let's say we know that we bought it for $15, okay? And we just want to put in a sell order for much higher. I'm going to use an extreme case here so you guys kind of are grasping how this works. So I'm going to put in 19 here, okay, real extreme USDT, okay? So when you're looking at this, one thing that gets a little confusing is this number over here, okay? Because how does this calculate a profit for you, right? When you're the one that knows that you bought B&B for $15 and you're putting it at 19. Well, that's not what this number is calculated at here. This total projected profit is going to be off this take profit over here, and you have to understand how that works. So what I'm trying to tell you is just forget about this number right now. I just want you to concentrate on, we're just simply putting in a limit order. Okay, so let me clear this out and I'll kind of get you to where I'm trying to be here. So if we were to put in that limit order at 19, all right, which is above the market price of 16.71, all right, and we've got the market price here also, then based on 20, all right, 19 times 20 is going to be 380, all right? So we know right off the bat. So it's a real easy calculation in your head too, because if you know that you bought your 20 B&B for 300 bucks and you need $80 profit out of that, then you know that your price is going to be set at 19 and you're good to go. And you can pretty much put in this limit order and just sell it. And if you know that USDT, or I'm sorry, if you know B&B is going to go up, all right, then you're simply going to just put in your sell limit, all right, and when B&B hits that price, then it's going to sell and you're going to get 19 USDT per B&B and you're going to be good to go. So now let's take a look at our scenario where, and we're going to keep our numbers extreme here so that we can understand this. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add in our take profit, okay? So the first thing that we have to look at is how this is actually working, okay, and what take profit actually means. So let's say that let's say that our market price is right here, and all of a sudden B&B starts to climb up, okay, and so it's climbing higher and higher in price. Now it hits that $19, okay, so what's going to happen? So when it hits 19, right, it's going to sell, all right? Now, what happens if it starts to head towards $25 or $21 or $22? Well, you're going to miss out, right? Because you're going to... So then this just goes ahead and shoots past your price. Let me get my marker back over here. And so all of a sudden it just starts to turn, right? So you've sold off at 19 and it starts to turn here, right? And it starts to go back down. And you don't want to lose out on that, all right? Because you previously bought B&B, again, we're using very extreme cases here. You bought B&B at 15 and you're starting to see this thing turn, and you don't want to lose out on that, okay? So the way take profit works is it's going to buy you back in the same 20 B&B, okay, now at a lower price. Now, if you had previously bought at 15, all right, then you're going to want to change this if you're trying to kind of keep those same numbers, right? So let's say 14, right? Okay. So let's say that you've sold off at 19. You originally bought at 15, 20 B&B. You sold off at 19, all right? Now this thing is heading back down, all right? And all of a sudden it hits a target price of 14, all right? Well, it's going to buy back that 20 B&B now at 14, all right? So that's where you're going to make profit, because it's buying you back in that same B&B, that same 20 B&B for less money, all right? Does that make sense? So your profit is coming because you're buying back into the B&B, all right? And then what you can also do here is you can, let me clear this over here. What you can also do is put in your stop loss here. What that does is it buys you back in at a higher price if, and let me do this chart again, right? So we bought down here, started to go up, and we sold right here, right? That was our $19, okay? And instead of this thing turning down, all right, it went this way. It went up. So you don't want to lose out on that. What if it, I mean, what if this thing all of a sudden headed towards $25? Well, what your stop loss would do, it would buy you back in at $19.95. All right, that's stopping you from losing out on an upward momentum here because it sold off at 19. All right, so I'm hoping you guys are kind of grasping that, because the sell side of this is a little harder to grasp. So let's just adjust these numbers a little bit so it really makes sense. Let me clear this out here. All right, so we know we bought in at 15 originally. We have our 20 B&B here. We're going to take profit, meaning we're going to buy back in if this thing turns, right? So we're going to be able to buy back in at a lower price. So we can then adjust this here, all right? So maybe we want to be a little less extreme and buy back in right away, okay? So there's 5%, okay? So if we sold for 19 and the price dropped and it bought us back in at 1805, then that's going to be our profit right here. This is our projected profit, okay? It's right there. Or if we, let's see if we can reduce this here. So now if we buy back in at a higher price, then we have less profit. If we drop this down to 10%, we buy back in a lower price, and we're going to get more profit here. And again, the profit is based back on the fact, all right, that you're buying your B&B back at a lower price. Right? So let that sink in a little bit so you're not confused. Okay? You're buying back your B&B at a lower price. That's how this take profit over here is calculated. Okay? The stop loss is simply keeping you from losing out in a market where all of a sudden B&B is just going crazy and people are buying it for a much, much higher price. Well, it's gonna buy you back in at a higher price so you don't lose out if all of a sudden this thing rockets to, you know, $25. All right, so that's pretty much how that works. So you're also going to be able to, let me clear this a little bit here. So you're also going to be able to do this as a split too, right? Just like when you were doing the buy, okay? So you can split these up and it'll show you the different percentages over here, and you can change your percentages. You can pretty much do whatever you want to do here. And you can also do a trailing stop. Okay, so what that's going to do is that's going to buy you back in based on a percentage of that price changing. Okay, so don't use trailing stop if you don't really understand it. I'm going to kind of give you guys a resource to look at how you look this information up on Bitsgap's FAQ. So we're going to go there next, but we're going to talk a little bit about ask and bid, trailing stop. That's pretty much it. So it's pretty simple once you start to understand it. Okay, you're putting in a sell order for a certain amount of what you want here for the crypto that you're selling. Your take profit is buying that crypto back if the price goes down after you've sold it off for your price, okay? And then your stop loss is going to buy you back in if the price takes off after you make the sale, okay? And it's going to buy you back in that original amount of B&B. All right, so that's kind of how it works. All right, next let's kind of jump over to their FAQ and see how we can look up some of this extra information that we need to know, like ask and bid and any other thing that you want to look up on the Bitsgap platform. Okay guys, we're over here on the main Bitsgap page here, and what I did is I just simply went to About and then go to Blog. All right, and this is pretty much where you're going to find the latest information when you're looking for updates of what they've done with their platform. And one of the things I found right away is how to smart trade. Okay, and I did notice that when you come down here, it's got explanations about stop loss, ask and bid, price. Okay, it's got all the information there. So I'm just going to let you read it. I don't need to read for you here in this video. I want you guys to do a little bit of research on your own and go through their site. They've got some pretty good support on the site here. I like this blog that they've got. They've got some really good articles. You guys should be reading through all these articles. Okay, this is really good stuff on their website. So jump in there. And then also on the knowledge base side, all right, you can jump in here, and I think this is updated on a regular basis. So you can also jump in here and look information up here also. All right, so that's it, guys. That's for me. That'll give you some good starting points there on using Smart Trade. And all right, let's go out there and make some money. All right, guys, talk to you later.